Uni is fun, but you gotta know the rules.
Learning to reference is easy.
It's good to get your head around the rules of academic writing in the first semester. Then you're in good stead for the rest of your studies.
Hello and welcome to JMC Academy. I'm here today to talk to you about academic writing and how you are expected to format your written assignments. Let's take a look at academic writing. In this presentation, I will address the following points. What is academic writing? Essays and what is expected. Assignment presentation and the style guide. How to reference. Plagiarism, how to avoid the consequences, and where you can find further information. So what is academic writing? Academic writing is formal, detailed and specific. You are expected to hand in a serious piece of work, which is free from personal prejudices or bias. What you write about is used to assess your level of understanding of a particular topic. When do you need to use academic writing skills at JMC? When you are writing essays, reports, seminar papers and research papers. Let's take a closer look at essays. Essays need to be relevant to the topic. They need to be reasoned, and you need to include references, and it needs to be presented in the prescribed format. Let's look at relevance. By following these points, you should be able to produce a relevant essay. Read the topic questions carefully and make sure you understand what the task is. Check terms such as analyse, compare and contrast or discuss. Each term requires you to structure your essay in a different way. Focus consistently on the key issues in your essay. Stick with the subject and cover all parts of the topic question. The next step in writing your essay is reasoning. Read information with a questioning mind and think through the material, then evaluate it. Decide if you agree or disagree with the opinions or information researched. Organise your information in a logical way. Make a case and prove your point. The next step in your essay is one of the most important: where to obtain credible information and how to reference it. When searching for material, read widely but stick to credible sources. For example, Wikipedia can be used as a starting point, but do not reference Wikipedia in your essay. Check the resources they have used at the bottom of the article. Investigate sources that cover both sides of an argument. Follow leads from the material. Any credible books, articles or journals should reference where they obtained their material from. Supply evidence that supports your case and always acknowledge your sources. Failure to do so can have severe consequences. More about that later. Lastly, you need to make sure you present your essay appropriately. You need to make sure you have a definite structure, including an introduction, body and conclusion. Follow the instructions in the JMC Style Guide for written assignments, which is included in your information pack. Check your assessment brief for specific instructions and take note of your word limit. Now I would like to briefly go through the information contained in the JMC Style Guide. Page 2 contains information on how to format your assignments. All assignments should be on white A4 paper and have 2.5 or 3 cm margins on all sides. You must use either Times New Roman or Arial font, and it needs to be font size 12. Line spacing should be set at 1.5 and there should be 2 1.5 lines between paragraphs. All documents are to be printed on one side only. Your title page needs to contain the following information: your unit code, for example EBM 201, the unit name, entertainment since 1945, the name of your assessment, analytical report on reading, your student name and student number. The header of your document needs to contain your student name and number in the top left-hand corner and the page numbering in the right-hand corner. You need to specify the number of pages, for example, 1 of 4. Pages 3 to 4 of the Style Guide contain information on spelling, punctuation, grammar and quotations. It also shows you how to avoid using discriminatory language in your assignments, which means avoiding any inappropriate reference to age, gender, disability, ethnicity, race or religion. pages 5 to 7 contain information on how to avoid plagiarism in your assignments. The last page of the style guide has a checklist that you should use to check you meet all the requirements of your assessment. Failure to comply with directions in the style guide will lose you marks in your assignments. As I mentioned before, referencing is one of the most important parts in writing your assignments. In all your assignments, you must refer to the work of others. You must always acknowledge the source of your information. There are two parts in referencing your work. Firstly, you have to reference material in the body of your assignment. This is known as in-text referencing. At the end of your assignment, you need to have a list of references. This is known as a reference list or bibliography. Here at JMC, we use the Harvard referencing system. More information about the Harvard referencing system can be found in the style guide. You have to include a reference when you use someone else's ideas in your own words, which is paraphrasing. When you use someone else's words exactly as a quote. When you give a short version of someone else's ideas or work, which is a summary. You also need to reference tables, figures or images that are not your own work. Many students are not sure how many references they should have in their assignments, but if you acknowledge where you got your information from, you should have a reference in almost every paragraph. This is because you are presenting and analysing the material you have found on the topic question. Here are some examples about how your work should be referenced, both in text and in the reference list at the end of your assignment.
In the alpha range at that time, it made the best noise out of all of them.
In the body of your essay, you write the title of the movie in italics and the year it was produced in brackets. In your reference list, at the end of your document, you give more information. The title is in italics, then the year of production. You need to classify that it is a motion picture, then list the film company and their location. Now let's look at how you would reference a web page. In this example, a student has used a quote from an online journal. They have used the last name, the author, and the year it was written. The name of the journal is in italics. More information is again provided in the reference list at the end of the document. Firstly, the author's name and year is written, then the title of the article, the name of the journal, the issue number and page number. State the date that you viewed the information. Lastly, the URL in full. The next example is music. In their essay, the student has referred to an album by The Presets. The only other information they need to put in the body of their assignment is the year it was released. In the reference list, they provide the name of the band or artist and the year it was released, the title of the album with the format in square brackets, such as CD or cassette tape. Finally, the name of the record company and the location. Now let us look how to reference written materials. The first example is a book. The author's last name, Simpson, is mentioned at the beginning of the sentence. At the end of the sentence, the year it was published and the page number are included. In the reference list, the author's surname and initial are followed by the year of publication. The title of the book is in italics, and then the edition is mentioned if it is not the first edition. Finally, the publisher and their location are at the end of the reference. Our last example is information taken from a magazine article. The author and year of publication are stated in the text of the assignment. The reference list at the end contains the author's surname and initial and the year it was published. The name of the article is then followed by the name of the magazine or journal. Lastly is the issue number and which page the article is on. The reference list or bibliography should be on separate pages at the end of your assignment. The references should be sorted in alphabetical order and need to be indented if there is more than one line to the reference. Plagiarism is dishonesty and is attempting to hand in someone else's works other than your own. By not referencing or citing where you got your information from, you can be accused of plagiarism. At JMC, when you hand in an assignment, you have to fill out an assignment cover sheet. On the back of the assignment is a plagiarism declaration. By signing this declaration, you state that you are submitting your own work. Plagiarism is taken very seriously and is a breach of academic rules which can lead to failure, penalties or other sanctions imposed by the academic board. To avoid plagiarism, make sure that anything in your assignment that is not your own work is acknowledged by referencing. Let's look at an example. There are 3 pieces of information in this example that are not the student's own work and have not been referenced. The image at the top is not a creation of the student. There is a statement stating that the Tamworth Country Music Festival ranks as one of the world's top 10 music festivals. This fact is not something that the student would have personally researched and published. This information must have been obtained from another source. The statistic at the bottom of the page is also another piece of information that the student could not have created themselves. If this were to be submitted, it would be an instant fail because none of the sources were acknowledged. Here is an example of how the student should have referenced their work. Underneath the image, they have stated that it came from the Tamworth Regional Council in 2008. This image would have been copied from a website. The statement concerning the festival's ranking has been referenced as coming from an article, and the statistic at the end has also been referenced. There would also be a reference list at the end of this assignment listing all the in-text references above. I hope you have learned some valuable information from this presentation on how to reference and format your assignments. If you need more information, please contact the library or academic staff. There are a number of websites with information on referencing and academic skills. An information sheet can be obtained from the library with a list of helpful websites and examples of referencing various materials.